5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome to Sacrilicious with Robin and Snurts, a Simpsons review podcast. I'm your lovable nerd, Snurts, aka Joshua Stearns, and joining me is the equally delightful Robin. Don't have a cow, coward,
nerd. What's happening, Josh?
Just having a little fun on the Saturday with my bratty. We're doing a little podcast.
That is what we do. You and I have lots of fun here.
Yeah, we think our flames, but we really are lames.
So speaking of Germany, I'm thinking about starting a commune. Would you join me in a commune in Germany? It sounds nice.
How cold is
social
it?
programs?
Do they have snow? Do they have snow in Germany?
No, it's perfect weather.
Is it like southern France?
You are a Southern California native. You are the most spoiled.
I'm so spoiled.
Populace on the face of the earth, 100%.
I'm really hoping global warming makes Canada less snowy so I can move there.
Right, exactly. Look, I mean, it's so funny because I'm allergic to everything on Earth, and heat doesn't treat me too well either. So, I loved living in Los Angeles. I'm so glad to be back in Atlanta, near my family and everything like that. But it's like 90 degrees. It's like 97% humidity right now.
Yeah,
and if I go outside, I will be just absolutely destroyed by mosquitoes. So I do not go outside here. In LA, I lived outside,
Sure.
I do miss it.
Yeah, I mean, West LA weather is pretty damn near perfect. It's the cliche, like it's almost always 72 and sunny, or like a little bit overcast. Like it never gets over into the hundreds like it does out in the San Fernando Valley, or out like in the desert areas of the state.
Yep.
So very spoiled. That's also why the rent's so damn high. But
right, exactly. It is a very expensive city.
Well, if this is your first episode of Sacrilicious with Robin and Snurts, here's how it works. One of us will pick an episode of The Simpsons to discuss. We go through the plot, provide definitely questionable impressions. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, yes, we do.
And we point out our favorite bits. This time, Robin picked from Season 5, Episode 3, Homer Goes to College, directed by Jim Reardon, written by Conan O'Brien from 10/14/1993.
It's a Conan episode. I tried to do the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
It's a Conan episode. I did not know it was a Conan episode when I chose it, and when I saw it in the wiki, I gave like a little squeal of like joy because I love Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, me too. Big fan.
I loved him throughout his career. Before I even knew what he had written for The Simpsons, what he had written for SNL, all of those things, and into his shows, and like his podcast now is my favorite podcast by far out there.
Yeah, I don't listen to every episode, but if it's somebody that I want to hear interviewed by Conan, I definitely will give it a listen. Like anytime Kevin Nealon's on there, it's great because Nealon just keeps busting his balls. I also like Sona and Matt are good co-hosts for that one because Sona's laugh
so good. I love
infectious.
Sona.
Like her laugh is so great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and she's a generous laugher as well. So Conan
I try and be your Sona, Josh.
Sure. Yeah, you got to get better.
I aspire to be for you.
All right, keep trying. Yeah. So, besides it being a Conan episode, why'd you pick it?
I mean, it's just a classic episode. This is season 5. Right when it just started to escalate into these episodes that are just absolutely brilliant. And this is one of those episodes. This actually contains the line from The Simpsons that I quote more than any other by far.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So it's one that I've been looking for an opportunity to for us to look at.
Now it's time for our favorite segment at the top, Robin has scored the Simpsons wiki. I've combed the halls of Wikipedia Prime, and with our research combined, we are behind the wiki.
The
A wiki, a wiki, 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 wiki. This was a big one. There's a lot. There's like a whole page of Wikipedia stuff from me.
It's better than the last time we had almost nothing, you know.
I think it's
The
also
last
fun.
several, in fact, we've had basically nothing.
You can tell with the recent episodes that don't have the DVD commentary because they're post season 20. Like those Wikipedia things are very small, but anything that has DVD commentary, it's like, here we go, everything.
Oh, yeah. And especially these episodes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Homer Goes to College was the final episode of the show for which Conan O'Brien received a sole writing credit for. He got a writing credit for a Halloween episode that came out after this, but that doesn't really count. This is the one that's just him, so sort of. The concept of the episode was that Homer attends college, but bases his entire understanding of what college is on bad Animal House ripoff movies.
Which, I mean, is such a good, you know, genre. You know, growing up in the 80s, we had so many of these. You know, Animal House was the one that, you know, is referenced most in the wiki, but, you know, like Revenge of the Nerds, Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and my personal favorites like Real Genius, which is with Val Kilmer, one of his first movies, and he is hot in that movie, by the way. And like PCU, do you know the movie PCU? That was a little bit more 90s. That's one of my very favorite movies. Like I had to go, it's not on streaming, so I had to go get the DVD somewhere, and I gifted it to my brother for his birthday a couple years ago because I love that one so much. But I love this genre of, you know, silly 80s and 90s movies about college.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of them, but I've seen them and I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm more like, if anything comes to mind that's college related, it's a much, much later movie called Old School, where like the 30 and 40-year-olds go back to school. And that was my favorite, you know, type of thing.
It's based on that same genre. Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, it just happened to come out like when I just hit 21, and my buddy Tim and I saw it before we went to our first Vegas trip. We were just quoting that movie the entire time. Like, yes, in the jugular, man. You got a fucking dart in your neck.
Is it cold out here?
Yeah, or like even Vince Vaughn. That was like one of my first experiences with that actor. And like when he's up there and it's the wedding, it's like, I'm very disappointed in you, Frank. You're giving up your freedom. It's just like, dude, she's coming down the aisle. Yeah, 5 yards says it's not too late. You know,
you're my boy, Blue.
There you go. So O'Brien mentioned in the DVD commentary that the antics of the characters Benjamin, Doug, and Gary were based off 3 incredible nerds who lived with him in the same college dormitory. The Fox Network executives wanted to have Homer Goes to College as the premiere for season 5, but instead Homer's Barbershop Quartet got the honor because of George Harrison's involvement. It's something that I've known for a long time, but it still blows me away every time I read it. I Am So Smart, SMRT, was a complete mistake by Dan when he was recording.
I didn't know this.
And everybody thought it was so much funnier as that, and they kept it in. But it was just him screwing up. And, you know, sometimes, like, if you ever watched Dan do Homer's voice, he kind of looks like he's getting more stupid. Like his eyes kind of go like small, and his droopy mouth a little bit, like, you know, a little. And so like, it just, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like if he's channeling Homer, he'll just naturally come up with something stupid to say. And this is a good example of that.
I mean, this entire episode is a great example of that. He is 90% of this episode.
Yeah, it's a lot of Homer.
And it is Homer getting dumber and dumber and dumber. He really had a lot of work to do, and that's one of the things that makes this great. And one of the things we talk about all the time is when these episodes started to become more and more Homer centric, which we enjoy that you know, that path that it went on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is definitely all Homer all the time for this episode. Jim Reardon has a very peculiar memory. Because there are several scenes in which the action is viewed through windows, such as when Homer prank calls the dean. I just thought that was interesting. Like, you're like, oh, hey, Director Reardon, what do you remember of the show? There's a lot of windows, Like, okay, sure. All right, boss. The animators were short on time. So for the design of the nerd Gary, they took an earlier drawing of director Rich Moore and made him African American.
There you
Any
go.
things on your end with your searches of the Simpsons wiki?
No, we covered it. I am a huge fan of the Maltese Falcon, so that reference in this episode cracks me the hell up. I love those old Bogart movies. Um, but the other ones you've covered for the most part that were on the Wikipedia page. But there is a Simpsons wiki. We've come to find some of these odd lines they're putting in there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
The one for this one is under Goose. It says, in the dorm room with the nerds, there is no ladder for the bunk bed. Therefore, the only way to get to the second or third bunk, because there's 3 bunks stacked, is to climb up the side. However, the bed isn't screwed into the wall, so it would fall over.
Wow, someone was like,
That's a goof. They really messed that one up.
God, those
Like, that
animators,
person should be fired.
right? What kind of
I'm really getting a lot out of these weird things I'm finding in the Simpsons the wiki over here. It's really cracking me up.
maybe if Reardon wasn't so fucking focused on Windows, he would have known that the beds needed to be bolted.
I mean, to be fair, like all the windows in this are like pristine though, animation
There you go.
wise. Yeah.
Nice. Well, there we go. That's the end of Behind the Wiki, and let's go into the episode itself. We got a couch gag. The Simpsons family is
Yes.
crushed by a Monty Python foot with a fart noise. This
That's
is
great. This is classic
classy.
couch.
I mean,
Yeah.
this is like Pinkies Up, comedy.
yeah.
Very
yeah.
defined, refined, dignity.
Well, it's the exact ending of the intro to Monty Python's Flying Circus.
Yep. Yeah,
Then-
and it has that classic Monty Python animation to it.
Yeah. And it's and it's often referenced. Like when we see in later seasons, they'll do intros that are a bunch of different couch gags, and like some of the 300th episode and the 600th episode and these things. And that's always one that's in there. I think they really enjoyed it. And there's another Monty Python reference in this episode.
I also am not surprised that the nerds who create The Simpsons are into Monty Python.
I'm a huge Monty Python fan.
Oh, me too.
It's absolutely a huge part of my comedy growing up. How I learned to what I loved, and then the kind of comedy that I try and how I.
And did you get introduced to it by your parents like I did? Because I have this very distinct memory of like my dad being like, and he never sounded like this, but this is how it is in my head. Kind of, he's like, "Come over here, boy. I got something to show you. Look it up here on the television. It's called Holy Grail, the Monty Python Kids." And it was the scene of the Black Knight when he's getting his arms cut off. "'Tis but a scratch," and I was dying laughing. I was laughing so hard at that, and I fell in love with it ever.
I'll gnaw your ankles off.
Yeah, come back here, you pansy. And with the coconuts, I mean, it blew my child's mind.
Robin.
I've never seen anything like it, and it really kind of opened me up to like what other kind of comedies could be outside of like
British comedy, very much British comedy. Because there was other shows in British comedy that were a post Monty Python. They developed out of that. Monty Python was such a trailblazer in terms of what I like to call like a hard left turn comedy, where they play on a theme, but then they take a hard left, and that kind of jolts your mind, and it makes it very, very funny.
And then years later, when we were in New York, good old Manhattan, we actually saw Spam-A-Lot with my father and the kids.
Oh, hell yeah.
So that's just, kind of like a nice little cherry on top, full circle type of moment. Very
growing up, when I was growing up, I'm born in 77. So like, Monty Python, Holy Grail came out in like 83 or something, right in there.
Okay.
And so growing up, like it was always on. So I watched a ton as a kid, and then I became a huge fan of other, John Cleese, like Faulty Towers and a lot of that stuff. So I was a huge fan.
It's such a good, like Holy Grail, and I think Life of Brian too. Like it's literally just a series of sketches that are put together to form a movie. So you can perfect cable movie type of deal where you can come in halfway through or towards the end or whatever at the beginning and just kind of pick it up where it's going and enjoy what you see. But enough about Monty Python. Let's go back to The Simpsons.
But father, I want to sing. No, none of that now.
Some watery tide throwing a scepter is no system of government. All right. We're going to be here all day.
Glasses?
All right. So we open with nap time at the plant, which is great. This may be the earliest clip for this podcast, but it was an embarrassment of riches when it came to YouTube clips for this episode.
Well, and the setup of what's going on before this happens is we're in Homer's Sector 7G in there, and he's asleep, and he falls over on the switch.
Core meltdown in 10 seconds. 9, 8. Meltdown averted. Good boy.
Because there's a dog sleeping next to him for
Correct.
some random reason who lazily gets up like he's done this a million times and wanders over and pulls the lever because he's been trained, obviously, to avert Homer's mini meltdowns, which is a theme in this show.
And it's like a classic bloodhound, floppy ears, large dog type of design, which is great. And then we cut to Mr. Burns sleeping next to his own bloodhound, Mr. Smithers. Burns is in his chair, then Smithers is kind of curled up at his feet. And this is interrupted by a surprise inspection from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. And I love how Mr. Burns' pathetic attempts to fool the inspectors with his bullshit reasoning.
What? How dare you disturb me during nap time?
We're from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. This is a surprise test of worker competence.
There must be some mistake. We make cookies here. Mr. Burns' old-fashioned good time, extra chewy.
Get the X.
Get the X. I love that line.
So
Get
good.
the X.
So watching from his balcony, which seems much lower in this episode compared to past ones we watched, Burns and Smithers curse the NRC. Smithers mentions the less gifted employees were tucked away in the basement. Cut to Homer and two other idiots in the basement. Radioactive waste, skull and crossbone warnings, and danger high voltage signs are everywhere.
There's just dripping ooze in there too. Yeah.
And their task, watch the bee. And so we got Bernie, who's idiot number one. Homer, why are we down here? Oh, geez, I told you, Bernie, to guard the bee. But why?
But boy. So they in up above, they're like we're seeing all of the workers march into this trailer that's pulled up with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and they're going in and they're being tested one by one. And so then in the basement, when Homer then, who is bragging about how they made him head bee guy, Smithers made him the head bee guy, and then probably kicks over the bottle with the bee in it, and he gets away, and he's running after it, oh no.
And this is old school Simpsons animation too. So when he's running after the bee, it's very fluid and his steps are kind of wide. It's a very fun animation to see. And of course, he goes back up to the top, pops out of a manhole. And but before that happens, actually, Smithers does a coy line. He's like, oh, the inspectors are like, oh, is there a Homer Simpson around? And Smithers goes, oh, he couldn't be here. And then Burns and Smithers has a little chuckle to themselves, and the latter ends up making some excuse that he's out of the country at some convention.
Oh, he's at Geneva, chairing a conference on nuclear fission. Yes, that should stick.
Then Homer jumps out of the manhole. Don't! The bee bit my bottom. Now my bottom's big.
So everybody knows this. See, this is such an iconic, one of the many in this episode, in fact, of Homer's, and he jumps up and he's got this huge lump on his ass.
Yeah, he does. It's very funny.
And it is hilarious. One of the best.
So now
they've got him, Josh. Now they've got him.
He's stuck doing the test. It goes horribly wrong despite the lack of nuclear material. And I like how you had the early comment from the guy,
Well, so exactly, they're hand holding him, and they're like, now this is an exact replica of your workstation, and we're gonna simulate a power surge. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? He is the most clueless about his
what is
job
his solution too? Is he's like, I'm just gonna poke blindly at the controls until they let you go. Which we've all been in those scenarios though, where you're kind of uncomfortable and you don't want to be there, and people are trying to encourage you, and you're like, I'm just gonna flail my arms until they say okay.
And he's not good in pressure situations like this. He'd be put on the spot, certainly. But I love it. He starts to everything starts to kind of rumble and shake,
and turn green,
and they're all and the the regulatory people are like, "Oh my god!" and they start running, and it turns green and like melts into the ground.
Yeah, I call it a mini meltdown in my notes. There's a little mini meltdown, and I love how Burns immediately goes into his escape pod. Smithers is desperately pounding on the door. For the love of God, sir, there are 2 seats. I like to put my feet up.
And it's great because when Burns goes in, he shuts the door, Smithers is banging, and then he opens the door back and he like pokes his head out. He's like, "I like to put my feet up," and then closes it back in his face.
But Smithers may have caught a break because the rocket does not go far. It immediately crashes into the parking lot, bounces, and rolls down the street. It looks very painful.
Great.
It looks
It's
very
great.
painful.
It's almost it's like it was just kind of spit out and it just kind of goes up a little bit and just like smashes. That's really fun animation.
So Homer walks out of the sinkhole that was created by the mini meltdown in the van, and he's glowing green, and he has his classic "Us destroying mankind," and then his watch beeps. Ooh, lunchtime, and he shakes it off.
He shakes it off, and all the green just kind of goes away. So I love this when they cut now into Burns in offices, and the regulatory people are like, "We're still not even sure how he caused the meltdown. There wasn't even any nuclear material in the truck." Which I just thought was very,
Burns
very
is
funny.
basically like, "Oh, it must be bribe time," and he opens up a curtain. It's like, "Now you can either have the washer and dryer where the lovely Smithers is standing, or you can trade it all in for what's in this box."
The books.
I love how the other inspector is not having it too, and also the female inspector sounds a lot like Maud Flanders.
Well,
Just a random thing that I picked up.
But what is the game show I'm thinking of that little scene is based off of, where it's like, it's behind the door.
I wouldn't even know the game show, but I do know it's an old reference of like, oh, you can have like this fabulous prize,
You can
or
have
listed on the box.
the washer dryer. I just think it's hilarious. He has it behind a curtain right there.
Right.
But you're right. She walks over. She's like, "This is a big problem, Burns. You can't just throw money at it and make it go away."
And then enter Quimby wearing a fur coat with a $5,000 price tag. Gentlemen, I decided that there will be no investigation. If you'll excuse me, I'll go away.
So our other guy is back, and he's like, "You're in big trouble, Burns. Simpson job requires college training in nuclear physics. You get your man up to speed, or we'll be forced to take legal action."
And I love Burns. He goes, "Well, I have the feeling that you'll be dropping the charges," and he pushes a little red button, and the trapdoor is behind them, like way off camera. and then the painters
and everyone
Smithers,
just for a minute, everybody's just kind of looking at it.
Right. And then Smithers tells him, "Sir, the painters moved your desk." And, "Oh yeah."
It's so good. This fall, get ready to go back to school with McBane.
It's time to learn.
When Mendoza, the world's biggest criminal, decides to hit the books.
My friends, I could finally finish my PhD in criminal theory.
The world's best cop is going undercover to make sure he gets an F.
When it comes to books, I'm going to burn them down.
This November 3rd, you'll see college like you've never seen it before in Collegiate Cop Panty Party 3.
Mendoza! You will never learn.
In theaters this fall.
All right, so Burns decides to visit the Simpsons' home with his lawyers, and I love how
There's
Marge,
like 6 of them behind him.
yeah, and Marge is like very nice and like, "Hey, do you want some snacks?" I forget which snacks and drinks she's offering.
Tea and marshmallow squares.
Yeah, and then the lawyers are like, "Yes,
Yes. We will. Homer, they're sitting at the table, and Homer's like, "So you want me to go to college?" And Bart's like, "College? You mean barber or clown?"
Yeah, and he has to complete Nuclear Physics 101, which seems like a no-brainer for someone who's a nuclear safety technician like Homer.
So I love this whole scene. And one of the things about this episode with Conan O'Brien's writing, it's got the kind of the packed-in jokes like a Schwartzwelder episode, but he layers them in certain ways that I just think is so hilarious. And so they're like, the future of your family, Burns says, hinges on your successful completion of Nuclear Physics 101. And one more thing. You must find the jade monkey before the next full moon. Actually, sir, we found the jade monkey. It was in your glove compartment. And the road maps and ice scraper? They were in there too, sir. Excellent. It's all falling into place.
Conan loves history stuff and bringing up old-timey things, so that
Absolutely.
definitely makes sense. So later in the bedroom, Marge is encouraging Homer for his new endeavor. Then we get a slightly odd flashback. Homer almost got into college, but got distracted by a dog with someone's ham. And we get a couple of these moments.
It's specific where the college counselor is like, listen, all you literally have to do is sign right here on this piece of paper and you're done. That's it. You're
right.
Finished. You're in college.
And then we get one of those Reardon window shots that he talks about, right? Because you immediately see him out of the window playing tug of war with the ham and the dog. We also get a lot of like high-pitched Homer laughs, like throughout the episode.
He gets, and of course he gets mad. He's like, "Give me the ham!"
Yeah,
because he's gonna eat it. We know he's gonna eat that ham. He's probably gonna end up with the dog, and they're gonna eat it together, and they're gonna be buddies.
So Homer is back at the kitchen table working on college forms, and even Lisa can't help. She tries to like recommend books, right? You know,
she's like, she's like, if you look on the form, it's just like list 3 of your favorite books, and he's like, is TV Guide a book? She's like, no.
And then he comes up with a story about eating too much or vomiting. What is it?
Yeah, so he's like writing out the essay that he's been struggling with. And he's finishing it out, and he goes, and it was the most I ever threw up, and it changed my life forever.
And then he slaps a terrible picture, right onto it. And then Bart goes, I don't know, Dad, don't you have a better picture? Relax, a photo can't make any difference. Cut to the college admissions people. Yeah. And the man goes, he looks crazy. And then the lady goes, agreed. Reading his essay would waste valuable seconds. And I love how it's valuable seconds. Like these people are so educated that they're speed reading through it and they don't even want to take the time because the picture is like Homer, like just going face first into a cake with his like eyes red from the flash of the camera. And it's a disturbing image.
It is.
Okay, we get
even Bart was like, Dad, I mean, probably should rethink this. And he was the one when he's writing about vomiting. He's like, that's awesome.
So we get Bart is watching TV and there's an ad for Worcestershire sauce soda.
Oh, it's fantastic. And this is one of the big kind of pivotal scenes of this episode. And it starts with this commercial like, finally, the great taste of Worcestershire sauce in a soft drinks. Steaky.
I also reminded me of the South Park joke about Worcestershire sauce. It just makes everything taste so English.
I love Worcestershire sauce. I do always have that. It's a staple in my cabinet. My mother always.
Yeah, I use Worcestershire sauce when I'm making my homemade Chex Mix. All right, so Homer's doing a little bit of homework for school by watching School of Hard Knockers, a typical Animal House-like show.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And he's going through all the tropes here, They have Dean Bitterman.
Correct. And we have the dean and the POTUS are walking through campus, and there's a jock bullying a nerd into detonating a bra bomb. And we get the classic, Corey, don't worry, Mr. President. Mr. President, lighten up, Bitterman. The youngster will make a perfect addition to my cabinet. Secretary of Partying Down.
It's like, and he's like dancing in the background. The president, like the classic into these things where the dean gets his comeuppance. And Homer's like, take that, Dean Bitterman.
I think if this would have came out a little bit later, they just would have had Clinton.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lighten up, Dean.
All right, so we have colleges basically all rejected Homer, but we have this like fun little bit where it's just like every time he's reading a rejected letter, he goes "dough," so it's like "dough, woohoo!" We get a coupon or something to that nature. So I do like the whole like "dough, woohoo, dough" bit. That was a lot of fun.
Woohoo! A flyer for a hardware store.
We also get a dramatic cliche movie line followed by Homer admitting he has no clue what to do.
He didn't get any colleges. Right. He's not going to be able to do this. And
so Bart he kind of stands up and he looks at the camera.
Well, no, like, Bart goes first. Bart goes, Pop, what are you going to do?
Something I should have done a long time ago.
You don't know, do you?
No, ma'am.
He like
Very
crouches
chic.
down,
Yeah.
and because it's so, he's like stands up, hands on hips. Something I should have done a long time ago, and he just stands there, and everybody's looking at him. These dramatic pauses in this one, you do it a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like one of those cliche ones. He also does another one later on where he's like, "Oh, you might have won the battle, but the war keeps on going." It's one of those type of lines. So Burns has a backup plan because he has a chair at Springfield U. This chair is very dynamic looking and epic in scale. And you really like this because it referenced a movie?
So they do a classic scene from The Untouchables, which was the movie with Kevin Costner and Robert De Niro, and De Niro plays Al Capone, and Costner's trying to take him down. And there's this famous scene where De Niro gets the heads of the mob there together, and he's like, we got to work as a team. And I don't know, somebody like turned on him or something, and he takes a baseball bat. It's a brutal scene, and he just bashes this guy's head in at the table, and to make a point to everybody else that you don't cross Al Capone, right? Well, in this one, the college board guy is like, I'm sorry, but Simpson's not qualified. We're not letting him in. And he's like, I see. Well, fellas, I look at the admissions board a lot like a baseball team. You don't like baseballs, do you? Well, to have a successful baseball club, you need teamwork, not some hot dog admissions officer. And he tries to like bash him with the bat, but he's Mr. Burns, so like he's too weak. And so basically, just ends up like bonking his head. And the admissions guy is like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm giving you the thrashing of your life. The guy's just like, stop that.
I also like how by the end he's like, well, if you wanted him in that badly, why didn't you just say so? And then an exhausted Burns is passed out on the floor, and he goes, Smithers, dismember the corpse and send his widow a corsage. Now we get one of the best scenes of the episode. Homer is so excited because he gets into Springfield U.
We get a woohoo!
And we get the classic I am so smart bit. And why don't you play that clip for us?
Woohoo! I'm a college man! I won't need my high school diploma anymore! I am too smart! I am too smart! I am too smart! I am too smart! S-M-R-T! I mean S-M-A-R-T!
And meanwhile, he's lit his GED, what was framed on the wall, on fire. And as he's dancing, talking about how smart he is, the house is going up in flames behind him.
Yeah, there must have been some like grease or fat on the wall or something because it catches pretty quick. Very flammable.
But this is it though, Josh. So this is that line. This is by far my most quoted line in all of The Simpsons is, I am so smart. S-M-R-T. I mean, S-M-A-R-T.
Yeah, and it's amazing that was an ad lib or a mistake, depending on how you want to take it. Yeah,
I had no idea until today when doing the research.
Yeah, no, it's pretty rad. Then we get a sign, Springfield University, established in 1952. Ask us about our Latin motto contest.
At Jock State, Springfield, you won't be bothered by geeks and dweebs. From the radical parties to the bodacious babes, your college experience will be most excellent. Don't be a bummer that says no way. Be a broster that says yes way at JSS.
And they got a random joke too of like Grandpa being in the car for 3 days.
Homer's like, my first day of college. I wish my father was alive to see this. And Grandpa pops up from the back seat. He's like, hey. They're like, how long have you been there? He's like, 3 days.
And then that's it. He just goes away. We don't see him again for the rest of the episode. And then we have Homer pulling up. He immediately sees a nerd and he shouts,
nerd!
And then he sees a jock, walk by because stereotype guy had broad shoulders, was wearing a Letterman jacket.
Absolutely.
He football. And
he's got like the flat top and everything.
Yeah, you see how I roasted that nerd? And this brings us to the crux of the episode. So Homer believes everything is like Animal House, but everyone else is playing the straight guy.
Yes, exactly. Because you're exactly right. Because this jock, stereotypical looking jock, and he's like, "Did you get a load of that nerd?" And he turns to him, he's like, "Pardon me?"
Yeah.
Like, excuse me?
Because like by the 90s and 2000s, like when I was in college, was the early 2000s, it kind of changed.
Very
The
much
whole
so.
like
Very much
jock
so.
versus nerd culture kind of felt toxic to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there was more about like PC culture and more inclusivity and giving people of color and women more of a voice type of thing. So that's why like it's very funny, because just Homer is a person out of time with a completely misunderstanding view of what's going around him.
I mean, I had these exact same experiences, and I went to school at NYU, which is the middle of Manhattan, but I was only in the dorm my freshman year. But I mean, it was people who like to do X, and that could be, you could be a jock who liked to do nerdy things, and you could be a nerd that liked to go party with the jocks. All that sort of stuff was happening.
Right. You could be playing Halo, but also on the soccer team.
Right. It was great.
Yeah. So Homer,
we all know soccer players are nerds anyway, though.
We got the big kind of get together for the start of the college semester, and
mixer.
Homer spikes the punch, and he thinks he's going to be like a hero to these kids.
Hero, yeah,
but instead, there's a momentary freak out, and the college kid immediately goes, "Attention, everyone! The punch has been spiked." But don't worry, your parents have been called, and we'll be here to pick you up shortly. Yay!
And everybody's like, "Yeah!" It's so hilarious.
And this baffles Homer, and he kind of goes, "Marge, someone squeezed all the life out of these kids, and unless movies and TV have lied to me, it's a crusty, bitter old Dean."
Enter Dean Peterson.
Bobby Peterson.
He's like playing this absolutely cool guy. He's like, "You can call me Bobby. I'm here for you if you ever feel stressed or studying or whatever. We can always go play some hacky sack, or if you want to jam, I used to be bass for the Pretenders," which is obviously a huge, Chrissy Hines, and he does a riff like doo 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 doo.
Yeah, and he's wearing a turtleneck with a blazer on it and like jeans. Like he looks like the most casual
totally
guy.
Chill, absolutely. Yeah. And we love Homer's line where he goes, and he's like the antithesis of what Homer's describing. And Homer, just completely oblivious, is like, "I can't wait to take the starch out of that stuffed shirt." He's just gonna, and that's this episode, is Homer completely oblivious that this is not actually Animal House or
correct
PCU or
absolutely
Revenge of the Nerds.
So Homer acts like a dick and child in this first class, man. Like it's just, he's the only one doing it. He doesn't get the professor's joke about like, in with the nucleus.
Right.
And
so in the physics class, and we get this like German style professor who's like, "Good morning and welcome to Nuclear Physics 101. See a lot of new faces, but out with the old, in with the nucleus." And everybody starts laughing except for Homer. And he's looking around at them like, "You can't laugh with the professor."
And then Homer is the one acting like an idiot when he drops his papers. The professor does, and he's just like boisterous laughing, what a stupid
maniacally.
Yeah, and then we have another example of his bad behavior.
Now, if anyone would like to stay, I'm going to hold a comprehensive review session after every class.
Do we have to?
No.
Then kiss my curvy butt. Goodbye.
And we get another window scene here. Chasing squirrels with a stick.
It's a little random there, but it's so Homer, like being that golden retriever, basically, that we always love.
Yep. And then back at the house, Homer transforms the bedroom into a stereotypical dorm room. We have wacky posters, lava lamp, turntables, and speakers.
The record player, yeah. He's got the record player playing Louie Louie, oh baby, which is the song from Animal House.
Correct.
Pretty direct correlation there.
A cinder block bookcase. Cut to a construction site, and a worker comes up and goes, "Sir, 6 cinder blocks are missing." The foreman folds up his paper. "There'll be no hospital then. I'll tell the children." So, because of Homer stealing 6 bricks, there's no more children's hospital. It's so dark.
Those poor kids, Josh. Those poor kids. So, and then we get another great scene for this one, the second meltdown of the episode, where we cut back to the school, and Homer's back in the physics class, and the physics professor has a proton accelerator, and Homer's like, excuse me, Professor Brainiac, but I worked in a nuclear power plant for 10 years. I think I know how a proton accelerator works. He's like, okay, come show us. And then, of course, hard cut, and like the whole place is glowing green. People are running out the building screaming. Homer's just kind of casually walking out the front door as the emergency crew is coming in, and he's like, hey, it's in there, guys. And they're like, thanks, Homer.
Yeah, the casual recognition of Homer from the hazmat people was really funny.
And him like casually walking out like, this again.
Yep. And then Homer gets a little critique from the deans, and he recommends, getting some tutors. But, of course, Homer wants to plot revenge, so we get him doing something stupid. Why don't you go ahead and play that clip for us, bud?
Homer, no one blames you for the accident. We simply feel you might benefit with a little outside tutoring. I researched these names myself.
Yeah, you won this round, Dean, but the war isn't over.
Hello.
Hello, Dean. You're a stupid head.
Homer, is that you?
I love, Homer when he's trying to, be it. He's like, "You're a stupid head."
Right.
Like that's his worst. That's the worst he can do.
My name is Mr. Burns. Okay, Mr. Burns, what's your first name? I don't know.
I don't know. Hello, Montel.
So enter the nerds. They brag about knowing science, math, and all the words to Monty Python skits. So, classic. They do the whole, like, we are the knights that say nee.
Yeah. There was a reference to the room that, Homer goes into 222. That's a reference to some movie that was in the wiki, but they're all sitting there, of course, just typing away at their computers, like very stereotypical, like.
Yeah, these are like the pocket protectors, thick glasses, They have
they come
asthma,
up a lot throughout The Simpsons. They come back. Yeah.
The one guy was in an Itchy and Scratchy. He's like, he hit the same note on the xylophone, but two different notes came out. I hope somebody got fired for that. It's like
they were recently in one where them and Lisa were doing some. I saw they come back a lot in this series.
So at the dinner table, Homer is talking about his nerdy day, and he's like, we played D&D, and we did this, and we did that. And then everybody at the table gets it except for Homer. He's like, they sound like nerds. And he gets very, very defensive. And he calls nerds my mortal enemy. And then Lisa gives a little speech that I love. And he goes, Dad, nerds are nothing to fear. In fact, they've done some pretty memorable things. Some nerds of note include popcorn magnate Orville Redenbacher, rock star David Byrne, and Supreme Court Justice David Souter. Not Souter! And this continues the long-running joke that Homer has a very detailed knowledge of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Absolutely.
It's hilarious. Like, he's just like, not Souter! At Springfield Nerd University, you won't be pestered by those annoying mouth breathers. From the D&D dorm rooms to the Monty Python Mondays, your college experience will be a natural 20. Don't be a loser that says, nee. Be a winner that shouts, nee, ping, nee, woom, at SNU.
And I love it now because Bart's like, listen to yourself, man. You're hanging with nerds. And his defensiveness is he threatens Bart with a knife. And he's like, you better take that back.
So the nerds are trying to get Homer to study, and he's doing the opposite. Homer will force these kids into the correct Animal House lifestyle that is college.
I like the line at the beginning where he's like, come on, Mr. Simpson. You'll never pass if you don't know the periodic table. He's like, oh, I'll write it on my hand. They're like, including all the lanthanides and actinides. Good luck. It's just like some of that nerdy humor.
Absolutely.
That these Harvard writers love to throw in here.
And then Homer decides the right course of action is a road trip, so he fills up the station wagon of beer. And then Marge comes up and insists that the kids go along. So she says, if you're going for a ride, I'd like you to take Bart and Lisa. But Marge, we're college guys and we're up to no good.
Mr. Simpson, Gary spilled his ear medicine. These guys are real partiers. I like it when he's like, we're going to go party. And they're like, wait a minute, we got to put on our snow pants.
The gang, much to Lisa's delight and Homer's dismay, went to a petting zoo.
And they went like, Lisa's like, these baby ducks are so cute, and they all got like petting zoo merch on now.
Yeah, little sailor hats from the petting zoo, it looks like. And then one of the nerds is like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he's like, we just stopped. Yeah, but there was someone in there and I couldn't go.
We start to see like even Lisa is the one that was like, we just stopped 5 minutes ago. Well, someone knocked on the door.
Yeah.
Couldn't go.
So next scene, Bart joins Homer in the dorm and they're plotting to go even
Big,
wilder with
crazy
pranks.
prank.
Yep, prank time. So Homer suggests rolling the Dean up in a carpet and throwing him off a bridge while giggling. And then Bart does his best
unhinged.
Bart does his best Jaws impression, and he like does the nail on the chalkboard.
Nails
and he
on the
suggests
chalkboard.
capturing the rival college mascot, classic prank, Sir Oinks-a-Lot at Springfield A&M.
Those bastards.
There's also a reference that Nixon was a fan of the pig, which I thought was hilarious. And then Homer goes, and then we roll him up in a carpet and throw him off a bridge. And everyone just kind of looks at him.
Looking at him
like,
again.
What the fuck are you talking about?
About? He's like, what?
And then we get another classic bit, Curly Straight. So one of the nerds loads the pigs into the station wagon. Homer's delighted pulling the curly tail until the pig bites back. So yeah, Curly Straight, Curly Straight.
Ow! And then when he bites him, Homer like loses it and goes for the pig. Like he's gonna murder this pig, and they all tackle him. And you and I love this animation because they're holding him back. Bart's got a hold of his leg, and Homer just kicks him off, and he goes flying off screen.
And then we get the jokes keep coming, so things aren't looking so good for Sir Oinks-a-Lot. We got the first nerd going, the pig's acting kind of funny. Oh, he and Mr. Simpson split a case of malt liquor. Guys, I think he's really sick. And then the dean is walking by, and you hear a thud, and he goes, hello? That sounds like a pig fainting. So specific. It's so funny.
And then we cut to the helicopter, bringing the pig up into the helicopter, winching him up.
Yeah, and the dean mentions that he had some powerful connections, and that's why the nerds are getting expelled. And then we have the Nixon "You'll Pay" clip, which is great.
That pig had some powerful friends.
Oh, you'll pay. Don't think you won't pay.
I'm a friend to the pig.
These Matt Groening creators always love bringing in Nixon for anything they can on one of their shows. They love the Nixon jokes.
But sadly now the nerds are getting expelled. And Homer, of course, being the ringleader, but he wasn't in the room when they got caught. So Homer's not been expelled, just the nerds. And so he apologizes to him. He's like, guys, believe me, I didn't mean to get you expelled.
Hey, it's okay, though. It's okay. They have life skills. They'll be fine.
We'll take care of ourselves. And of course, Snake walks up and he's like, wallet inspector. Like, oh, here you go.
And they immediately hand him the wallet.
They're like, I think that's all in order, sir. And he's like, I can't believe that worked. Then we get to one of the great Homer lines where he's like, wait a minute. I don't think that was the wallet inspector.
So to make up for them getting expelled, Homer lets the nerds move into the house. Only he likes having them around. And he's like, they'll solve all our problems. They're super geniuses. But Marge is not having it. From the nosebleeds to the phone lines being taken up by old dial-up internet. No one is having fun.
We do get the old dial-up sound here,
Correct.
In it, which is, annoying. And it's really annoying Marge. But it's funny because this was shot at a time when literally that's what we were all dealing with. Like, it's not a reference back. It was the sign of the times.
The geeks were, doing the classic thing about arguing about Star Trek in a chat room. So,
they're arguing with some guys at MIT about whether Captain Picard is better than Captain Kirk, which is no contest. I'm a Picard guy all day.
It's always Picard. Picard is the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
There's also an amazing scene with Bart and Lisa. Itchy will finally fall to Scratchy, a once-in-a-lifetime cartoon event. The cat goes all out with progressively larger explosive elements. Dynamite, plastic explosives, grenade airlings, a couple of nukes that are pointed right at the eye, and just to be safe, more crates of TNT. And if you could go ahead and play the clip, plug in the TV, we'll get a little bit.
The suspense leading up to this, watching it, is growing.
My purpose in life is to witness this moment.
You need the outlet for our rock tumbler.
Plug it in! Plug it in!
What, the rock tumbler or the TV?
The TV! The TV!
And then we immediately get Krusty going, wow, they're never going to let us show that again.
That's the greatest thing of all time, and we'll never show it again. I love it. And in this scene, like Bart and Lisa are like clasping hands. They're so excited to watch this. It's literally the greatest moment of their lives leading up to this. And so then we cut to the kitchen when they're all about to talk about like getting them out. Bart is sharpening knives, and he goes, "Dad, start digging some nerd holes."
And of course, the best way to get the kids back into college is for an even zanier scheme. Homer's brilliant plan is to almost run over the dean, but the nerds push him out of the way just in time.
Yeah, exactly.
Saving the dean's
And we
life.
get good animation here of Homer like driving through the campus, and they're like timing it. You know, we're perfectly on time, 5 o'clock. He would cut to the nerds, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna push him out of the way in 3 seconds." And the guy's like, "But should we correct for wind resistance? I don't know." And you just see the dean just get plowed into by Homer and go flying.
Yeah, the nerds overthunk it. Who'd have thunk it?
I love how hear this thud, like this
it's a pretty
awful
good
thud when he hits, and the nerds are just like, "Oh my!"
And then at the hospital, Homer's like, "Well, Dean, I'm really sorry for the running you over prank. Prank? And all those other pranks are my idea too. I'm the one who should be expelled. Well, I'm touched by your honesty, and who knows? Perhaps I've been a bit of an org myself. Yes, you have."
And of course, he's been like the most magnanimous this whole time.
Yeah, and then Hibbert comes over and was like, "All right, this is what your new hip's going to look like." And then it's like a piece of metal connects. And it just snaps right off, and he's like, "You're gonna have to go easy on it."
Oh, yes.
Despite the shitty new hip, he agrees to let the nerds back into the school. So the nerds are relieved when they return to their room that they have no messages on the answering machine, and everything is
nerds and social anxiety.
And then everything is wrapped up in a tidy little package, right? There's nothing else that needs to get done to resolve any of the plot.
Except, Josh, we've forgotten the entire original plot, which was he's got to pass Physics 101.
And then we get a fun gag of Homer being in his underwear, like a classic dream, like you're in your underwear in a class type of deal, but it's not a dream. Yeah. You do have a final exam, and he was in his underwear.
He was there in his underwear. Because then I love this. The physics professor is a funny part of this because he's like this very stodgy or, like physics professor with the accent.
Yeah, it's perfect. And then the nerds decide to return the favor by forcing Homer to cram like he's never crammed before, and we get a montage.
And we get a montage.
Montage.
It's a montage. Yeah.
Surprise. Homer still fails. Luckily, there are computers to fix the problem. Computers can do that?
Oh, yes. The only problem is the moral dilemma it raises, which requires,
oh, I love you. Moral.
Because he says we're gonna use the computer specifically to go in and change your grade there,
And back at home, Homer's trying to be sly.
Is that classic, yeah. That moral, like moral what's now? What it now?
Back at home, Homer tries to be sly about an A+ grade. Marge immediately figures it out, and she tells Homer that he has to go back to school and actually earn the grade to be a good representation to the kids.
Well, but the scene there is when Marge goes, "An A+, how'd you get?" And he goes, "Oh, let's just say I got help from a little magic box," like he's being clever. And Marge is like, "Oh, you cheated."
Yeah, right away. He tries to be.
It's such a classic Homer line where he thinks he's being sly, and he's not at all.
And then Homer goes, "Oh, Marge, you're worse than that crusty old dean. Well, I guess it's back to college for me, and that means it's time to. What did I teach you guys?
Writing down."
Yes.
And then we get Homer paused up in the air, with his arm raised, and then we get these, these clip over the credits of these, school movie tropes of, he's getting spanked in one, he's pushing the dean into the pool in another.
And Louie is playing in the background, all at Animal House. And it ends with Homer flashing the crowd at graduation. So it looks like
it's a great one. That is a great ending to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Robin, do you hear that sound?
What's that, Josh?
Well, you know what time it is. It's the Krusty Brand seals of approval.
Hey, bitch, come on! I always feel like the Muppets when we do that.
A little bit too, yeah. It's either the Muppets or Meanwhile at the Hall of Justice.
Meanwhile, this is what like kind of the like we did for the commercial, like, hey kids.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is your pick, so why don't you go first?
Obviously, I love this episode. It is almost certainly the single line of The Simpsons that I quote most often of the entire 35 years. Conan, our favorite writing. It's Schwartzwelder-esque in that there's so many layers to the jokes, and it's just one after another. Really love the way that he set up this underlying joke of Homer in one, existence versus everybody else. And I love the movies that it's based on. So a lot of those references really just absolutely cracked me up. There's subtleties like that the music they use is very reminiscent of those. There's some subtle animations, like in the scene where Burns comes over with the lawyers and they're pouring tea into marshmallows. You get Bart just sitting there, just totally randomly. He's just sitting there dipping his little marshmallow square in his tea and just kind of like observing. And it's just really good animation in that too. So this is essential Simpsons for many reasons. The I am so smart, the turn it back on, all of those. 100%. This is a 5, no question for me.
Excellent.
Shocker!
Shocker!
All right. My turn. Homer Goes to College perpetuates negative stereotypes of college students. The rigid and archaic depiction of either nerds or jocks is offensive. The lack of a female perspective reinforces patriarchal society norms. The destructive prank culture run amok is a bad influence to young children aspiring for a safe educational environment. The anti-nerd indoctrination agenda is blatant throughout the episode. Conan says he left for late night television, but we all know it was from embarrassing failure of this episode. So for all those reasons and more, my score is a 5 out of 5.
Absolutely.
I doubt I fooled anybody, but this is a great episode. The creators do an excellent job blending the absurd with a relatable story denoting changing times and attitudes between generations, a classic Simpsons experience that will continue to hold a place in the upper echelons of this wonderful show.
Absolutely.
Did I fool you? Did I fool you?
That was great. I did, well, so I was like, for a minute, then I was like, I have an inkling, but I was going there with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about it like from somebody who hated the show and like if they just wanted to apply like modern values to it, and so I was also thinking
lack
like
of a female perspective, Josh. That was a good one. That's a good
one. So it just kind of cracked me up because like it is kind of like a very stereotypical like kind of look at college that is outdated by now. So I decided to have a little fun with it because I had a feeling like our listeners and you and I already kind of knew that we were going to be doing both 5s. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's just have a little bit of fun. See
I liked it, but you're exactly right though. I mean, the thing is, and then what I love about Conan O'Brien's writing, and I can't wait to do some more of his episodes to see if this carries over. But there's the levels of humor. So the scene with Burns is already funny about going back to school. And the lawyers with Bart dipping his little thing, and then they do the reference to the jade statue, and those layers of jokes in there, I just absolutely love. And you kind of juxtapose that with the huge scenes that we get in this. And I Am So Smart is just as iconic as it can be, and yeah, that's me.
So looking at our scores here, we have 15 a pop at 5. We each have 15 5s. For the number 4, Robin has 10 and I have 8. 3, Robin has 7 and I have 9. 2, Robin has 2 and I have 4. And 1, Robin has 4 and I have 2. So I think it's interesting how
I have
1 and 2 is
ones?
Yeah.
What are my 4 ones?
You have The Departed.
Uh-huh.
We have Thirst Trap, A Corporate Love Story.
Oh,
A Totally Fun Thing That Bart Will Never Do Again, and My Sports. But I think it's funny that we have 15 equal. Like the number 5s, we're like, yes, that is definitely a 5.
100%.
And then it kind of gets like a little bit of an inverse thing going on for the rest. But it's just fun little pivot table action.
100%. We are those nerds, Josh. That's part of the reason that we love this episode, is that I do love a good pivot table, certainly.
Well, and also like those kind of hardcore nerds make me look cool, so I appreciate them.
Exactly right. 100%. Yes, exactly. I have never once worn a pocket protector.
Well, and I don't have like ear medicine spilling and nosebleeds and like rock tumblers and shit like that. So,
Mr. Simpson, we all have nosebleeds.
And that's a wrap for Sacrilicious with Robin and Snurts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do all the cliche things, the liking, the following, the commenting, or just tell a friend. We are currently on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. My shout-outs, I'm going to shout out some podcasts I enjoy. The Ralph Report with Ralph Garman. It's a kind of like a morning radio show type of deal. It's very funny, and they have their various bits. I think it's worth the $5 a month to get the Monday through Friday, but if you're interested in just getting a free one, he releases one free episode every week. I also got a new podcast recommendations thanks to our buddy Delvin. It's called The Stupid History Minute with Kev Pound. And basically, it's a 1-minute podcast episode, and he briefly talks about one topic. And right now, he's going in through classic cartoons. So you talk about like X-Men the animated series, or Spider-Man the animated series, or G.I. Joe, Transformers. And it's kind of an interesting concept because every single episode is a minute. So it's like intro music, blurb, outro, music, done. So give it a listen if you can spare a minute. We have the Mortalverse audio drama, and their most recent release was Batman Beyond. Matthew Dawson continues to do excellent audio dramas based in the DC universe, and he's kind of creating his own DC universe. It's not as good as James Gunn, sorry Matthew, but it's a close second. And finally, Dr. Moxford, the raddest fan of them all.
The Doctor.
Do you want to hear more from your old pal Snurts? Then check out the PlayStation Experience and PSVG on your podcast platform of choice. I can also be found on most of the things at Lord_Snurts. Robin, outros, plugs, things, go.
Absolutely. Well, I want to give a shout out to Johnson & Johnson, a corporation that's been a pillar of our community, and the makers of Tylenol, which is, of course, acetaminophen, which was really talked about by our beloved president who linked it to autism. Johnson & Johnson, of course, did not mean to cause all of this autism, and they don't deserve this backlash. When Robert Wood Johnson joined his brothers James Wood Johnson and Edward Mead Johnson in 1886, since then Johnson & Johnson has really stood for integrity as a shining example of American business. I mean, sure, it's faced some smear campaigns before, like the 1982 Tylenol murders, or the hip replacement that caused catastrophic damages and lawsuits over illegal activities and fraud and, bribery, and the baby powder that causes directly ovarian cancer, which was covered up for decades. And they sold those vaginal mesh implants, Josh, you know what I'm talking about? That caused that irreparable, debilitating pain to thousands of women. And, they were significant contributors to the opioid pandemic. It's nearly 100,000 deaths a year, or 5 times the deaths that heroin causes. And they, went from $10.5 billion in profits through up to the pandemic to doubling that to over $22 billion in profits. But look, they're owned by some of the best investment groups, the Vanguard Group, BlackRock, Trust American investment groups, monopolize massive percentage of the corporations in America, driving inflation and stagnant wages while siphoning Americans' wealth into the hands of very few and pumping billions of political reasons. Wait, what was I talking about originally?
Our goal is to get the next episode out on October 19th. I picked The Twisted World of Marge Simpson from Season 8, featuring the Yakuza. They'll kill you 5 times before you hit the ground. Robin, hit me with that sweet, sweet quote.
Wallet Inspector. Here you go. I believe that's all in order. I can't believe that worked. Hey, that's not the Wallet Inspector.
So until next time, folks, smell you later, true believers.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.